In the vast, often bizarre landscape of the internet, where cat videos and dance challenges reign supreme, a different kind of content occasionally breaks through the noise. Enter Nick Shirley, a YouTuber and self-styled independent journalist who has built a brand on asking pointed questions about where taxpayer money goes. Armed with a camera and a healthy dose of skepticism, Shirley wades into the murky waters of government spending, a realm often shielded from public view by layers of bureaucracy. His method is refreshingly simple. He goes to the places listed on government ledgers and just looks. It's shoe-leather journalism for the digital age, and it just so happens to be incredibly effective. Just after Christmas of 2025, when most people were drowning in leftovers and sale emails, Shirley dropped a bombshell. His video, bluntly titled, "I Investigated Minnesota's billion-dollar fraud scandal," went viral with the force of a digital tsunami. The premise was straightforward. He and his team took a list of daycare and learning centers in Minnesota that were receiving millions in public funds and decided to pay them a visit. The video wasn't filled with elaborate graphics or dramatic reenactments. Its power lay in its stark, unblinking reality. Center after center, recipients of significant state and federal aid appeared locked, deserted, or suspiciously quiet for facilities supposedly teeming with children. The video quickly racked up an astonishing number of views, soaring past 100 million across various platforms. Why? Because it tapped into a deep, simmering frustration among the public about government waste and a perceived lack of accountability. Shirley presented a narrative that was easy to grasp. Here is a list of places getting your money, and here is what they look like right now. The visual evidence was jarring. Doors were locked during business hours, windows were papered over, and parking lots were eerily empty. It was a powerful visual accusation that suggested a colossal disconnect between the paperwork and the reality on the ground. This investigation wasn't just a random shot in the dark, it was a targeted look into a system that allocates vast sums of money with, as Shirley's video implies, potentially insufficient oversight. He claimed his team identified over $110 million in questionable payments in a single day, hinting that the total scale of the problem could be far larger. This wasn't some complex financial crime hidden in offshore accounts. This was alleged fraud happening in plain sight in unassuming storefronts across Minnesota. It was a story that made people stop scrolling and pay attention, transforming a YouTuber's investigation into a national conversation about trust and transparency. At the heart of Shirley's explosive video was a visit to one particular establishment, the Quality Leering Center. This single location became a powerful symbol for the entire investigation, a perfectly absurd microcosm of the alleged grift. According to Shirley, this center had received a staggering $4 million in state funds, with nearly half of that, $1.9 million, allocated in 2025 alone to care for 99 children. Yet the first thing that greeted Shirley and his viewers was a sign on the building where the word learning was misspelled as leering. It was a detail so comically on the nose that you couldn't make it up, immediately raising questions about the quality being offered. Upon closer inspection, the situation only grew more suspicious. The Quality Leering Center was anything but a bustling hub of childhood education. The building was silent, with no sounds of children playing or teachers instructing. Shirley's camera panned across a desolate scene, showing no signs of life, no toys in a yard, no little coats on hooks. To add weight to his observations, he spoke with a local resident who claimed they hadn't seen a single child at the location since 2017. This anecdotal evidence painted a grim picture. A facility supposedly serving nearly 100 children was, for all intents and purposes, a ghost town funded by millions of taxpayer dollars. The visit took a confrontational turn when a woman emerged from the center. Instead of answering questions about the facility's operations, she defensively told Shirley to leave, expressing fear that he was an agent from Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This tense exchange only added another layer of intrigue and suspicion to the proceedings. Her reaction, while perhaps born of genuine fear, did little to dispel the notion that something was amiss. It deflected from the core issue, the whereabouts of the 99 children and the $4 million in funding, and instead highlighted a different set of anxieties, leaving viewers with more questions than answers. The Quality Learning Centre segment was the viral core of the video, a perfect shareable story of government incompetence or worse, complicity. The misspelled sign was the hook, the empty building was the evidence, and the tense confrontation was the drama. It encapsulated the entire thesis of Shirley's investigation in a single, memorable vignette. It wasn't just about one poorly run daycare. It suggested a systemic failure where basic due diligence, like checking if a multi-million-dollar recipient can spell learning, was seemingly overlooked. It was a potent symbol of a system that appeared to be, at best, asleep at the wheel. Nick Shirley's video did not land in a vacuum. It landed like a lit match in a room filled with gasoline. The story ignited a firestorm of political and public reaction, amplified by high-profile figures across the social media spectrum. Minnesota Republican Representative Tom Emmer quickly took to X, publicly tagging Governor Tim Walz and demanding an explanation for $4 million of hard-earned tax dollars going to an education center that can't even spell learning correctly. His post echoed the sentiment of millions of viewers, framing the issue as a clear-cut case of government negligence that demanded an immediate official response from state leadership. The story's reach was magnified by a host of other influential voices. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance described the case as a microcosm of the immigration fraud in our system, linking the allegations to a broader national debate. Controversial influencer Andrew Tate offered to support Shirley's journalism, and even former Doge chief Elon Musk weighed in, predicting that widespread public awareness would lead to massive outrage over the misuse of taxpayer funds. This chorus of commentary, coming from different corners of the political and cultural landscape, ensured the story transcended YouTube and became a dominant national headline, putting immense pressure on Minnesota officials who, as of December 30th, 2025, had yet to issue a formal statement. What made this situation even more compelling was the revelation that Shirley's viral exposé was essentially the public-facing trailer for a movie the FBI was already producing. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed that the agency was deep into a pre-existing large-scale investigation into fraud within Minnesota. He specifically referenced the Feeding Our Future network, a massive $250 million scheme that exploited federal food aid programs during the pandemic. The methods were similar: sham companies, falsified invoices, and vast sums of money intended for children ending up in private pockets. This wasn't a new problem. It was a festering wound that Shirley had just ripped open for the world to see. Director Patel described the fraud Shirley highlighted as merely the tip of a very large iceberg, signaling that the problem was far more extensive than even the viral video suggested. He stated that federal investigators were looking into widespread misuse of funds across both food and healthcare programs in the state. Furthermore, he indicated that convictions in these cases could lead to denaturalization and deportation for those found guilty, adding a significant immigration dimension to the sprawling criminal investigation. Shirley's video, therefore, served as an inadvertent public service announcement for a massive federal probe that was already well underway, shining a spotlight on a crisis that had been developing in the shadows. It is critically important to remember that as of today, December 30th, 2025, everything presented in Nick Shirley's video remains an allegation. The centers he visited, including the infamous Quality Learning Center, have not been proven guilty of fraud in a court of law. Independent journalism, especially the kind practiced on platforms like YouTube, plays a vital role in raising questions and demanding transparency, but it is not the final arbiter of guilt or innocence. The legal process, with its rules of evidence and presumption of innocence, must now run its course. The video is the opening statement, not the final verdict, in what is shaping up to be a long and complex legal battle. The immediate future of this story will likely unfold on two separate but related tracks. First, there is the ongoing federal investigation, which was in motion long before Shirley's camera started rolling. The FBI and other agencies will continue to meticulously build their cases, gathering financial records, conducting interviews, and tracing the flow of millions of dollars. This is slow, deliberate work that happens far from the glare of social media. The indictments and eventual prosecutions stemming from this broader probe will provide the definitive legal answers to the questions Shirley's video raised, determining the actual scale of the fraud and holding specific individuals and organizations accountable. Second, there is the court of public opinion, where this case is already being tried at lightning speed. The story's viral nature has ignited a fierce debate about government oversight, immigration, and the stewardship of taxpayer money. This public pressure is a powerful force that can and likely will compel politicians and government agencies to act. It may lead to audits, legislative reforms, and stricter verification processes for recipients of public funds. The challenge will be to channel this outrage into constructive, lasting changes that prevent such potential abuses from happening again, rather than letting it dissipate into partisan bickering. Ultimately, the saga of Minnesota's daycare fraud exposé is a stark reminder of the importance of oversight at every level, from federal agencies down to individual citizens and journalists. Whether the allegations prove to be entirely true, partially true, or something else entirely, the story has exposed significant vulnerabilities in the systems designed to help society's most vulnerable. What happens next will be a test of our institutions. Will there be a thorough investigation, meaningful reforms, and genuine accountability? Or will the outrage fade, allowing the systemic weaknesses to persist? The answer will determine whether this was just a viral moment or a true catalyst for change.